This is a radio broadcast from the Good Boys Gone Bland. Seek shelter now. Hello and welcome to Good Boys Gone Bland, Season 7, Episode 1, The Core. I'm your co-host, Denali.
I'm your co-host, Ryan.
I'm your co-host, Jace.
Are you like the... It seemed like you're kind of going for like a drunk type of like a swash.
Yeah, it seems like he's like the cool hungover scientist.
Honestly, it's a miss.
Yeah.
It was a miss for me there.
Okay, we can run it back. I'm your co-host, Denali, skilled pilot and navigations expert.
I am your co-host, Ryan, your onboard robot.
I'm your co-host, Jace, and, well, a little science experiment of mine went wrong, and I accidentally caused the end of the Earth.
See, that was a good take. We'll just edit that
yeah.
in post so that the audience doesn't know about it, and we can start this season strong. We're in... Ryan, what'd you call this season?
Oh, I'm not a name guy.
Oh,
Right.
1 second.
Please.
Before we get ahead of ourselves,
Okay.
thank you for being here. We are a podcast
Yeah, of course.
that
Yes.
marathons,
Yes.
that marathon subjects, actors, themes, 10 movies until they become bland. And
Thank you,
this
Jake,
season,
Is end
whatever
of the,
the
world
fuck
movies.
we're doing, right?
It's end of the world movies. It's not that hard to understand, guys.
It's pretty fucking hard to understand for me, okay?
Is there a
we
movie
had-
and is it the fucking end of the world? Then there
What
you
about
have
Mad
your
Max
goddamn
2?
movie.
What about Mad Max 2?
Sure, but it would get a low score because there's not like the end of the world's not like happening.
Okay. So this is what we should clarify for our audience because there was a little bit of confusion.
Yeah, the audience
on our
was
text
really
chat.
ripping on us.
Okay. Yes. I mean, it
It's
hasn't
me.
been released yet.
I'm the audience.
His like 6 burner accounts like on
Jace
Instagram.
is a third of our listeners. So we should clarify the parameters of the new season. We briefly talked about it on State of the Podcast. Ryan, congratulations! You finally got
Yeah,
a seat,
1 for 7 ain't
a seat up
bad.
front. So like, what do you just kind of describe the season? I guess to the best of your ability, just for our audience. I guess.
I think where characters are facing an end of the world scenario. So end of the world movies. It could be end of the human race. It could be end of the entire planet. Or like I think of Day After Tomorrow is a good example, right? Like humans might
Right.
survive, but it would be a drastically changed world because it's a new ice age. Okay, that's pretty much end of the fucking world. Zombie apocalypse movies, like that's end of the human world. The
Gotcha.
characters
Okay.
are facing it. You know, it's a portion of the plot, not just like a setting.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Portion
you know
of
what?
plot setting.
And even if you do want to do like a post-apocalypse movie, then fine. It's probably going to get a lower on the score because I want to see. My main questions for discussion are whether or not the GBGBs could survive in this world, and then, if so tasked, could we prevent whatever force from happening?
Yes. Okay. The expert panel.
So if it's like Hunger Games, where like
Right.
you have to have read all the books and the mangas and 65 fandom articles and be like a mod on the Reddit to know what the post-apocalypse scenario there is.
I think they covered that in the first book.
Well, I don't.
If they talk about it in the
books.
first movie, Panem's a post-nuclear world. Well, I mean,
But it's so ambiguous.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
Okay,
like, could
okay,
we
okay.
survive
I
it?
have a
We don't know
question.
any information.
I have a
Okay,
question.
Jace.
Yeah.
I Am Legend
Oh, yeah.
is already post-apocalyptic, but he's facing...
is.
Okay,
Totally counts.
Okay, I think I agree with that. Like,
So that's like the 50-50 middle ground. That's like end of
Right.
the world,
Yeah, it's a good transition
post-apocalyptic.
period.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not
okay,
like...
that's a good
yeah.
question.
Yeah,
kind of
so-
a temporal aspect to this. So if a movie covers what caused the apocalypse, but that factor continues to be
It's still a problem.
Present
strong
in
in
the
the
movie,
world.
right,
So
like-
Mad Max, no, it's like there was a
They're not saving shit.
post-nuclear, but it's just douchebags being douchebags to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Setting
Mad Max
versus
could be
plot.
like, could
Okay.
we survive it? Sure, but like, could we prevent it? I don't know. I don't even know how
I'm
it
not-
happened.
I don't think we're surviving.
Now,
Matt.
on
I
the
don't
other
know.
end,
I need my inhaler.
one movie where like it doesn't even happen really. Well, it sort of does. Is like Doctor Strangelove. There's
Okay,
an entire movie in there are a bunch of politicians in the war room discussing what to do in response to a Russian nuclear threat. And like,
Okay.
do they set off the doomsday device and kill all human life on the planet?
You know, Denali's slamming that button.
So like, what would we do? Could we survive that situation?
I would slam it.
Probably not. But could we prevent it if we were in the room? Also, probably not.
Okay. All right. I like the premise. I like the discussion then. I think we've set up a loose parameter that we can undoubtedly discuss more as the season progresses. Do we have a name for maybe the season? Like, I do have a candidate, if you guys would hear me out.
Go for it.
Maybe the bunker, because that could be for multiple situations, both nuclear and storm, or the cellar or something like that. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys
Cellar
have?
has a little bit of like kidnappy vibe.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. Okay. I don't like that. Okay.
Bunker's not bad, but we need like
bunker,
some sort of
the
alliteration.
shelter,
We need some sort of like
Storm cellar? No. Cellar is with a C.
maybe I should have been thinking about this over the last week.
Well, it's always better to just spitball on air so the audience can see how stupid we are.
Because I'm thinking about for the meter, there's other discussion questions, but like
Right.
for the meter is like how screwed is humans? Like how?
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
know.
Like, how good is the scenario?
Yeah, and is it believable? Is it realistic?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them, like Day After Tomorrow, or like 2012, they're just like, oh, the crust rips open and stuff happens and snow.
Yeah.
But then like War of the Worlds is like pretty cool because like aliens come out of the ground.
I like that. It's maybe like a title, End of the World-o-meter, Doomsdominator.
We seem to just be putting the word meter on the end of our theme, and I'm
Yes.
perfectly fine with that. I think it's funny at this point.
We did get the word gauge introduced to us last season.
Oh,
Do we want to
yeah.
exercise this ability at all, or stick with
Gauge.
meter? Dooms gauge? Doomsdometer? Doom meter?
Doom meter is not bad.
Apocalyptometer? Apocameter? Liptometer? There is, I feel like, a really good pun here. It's
And
somewhere
we're just
in
not
there.
finding it.
I feel like I could almost feel it, and I know someone's like shouting at the fucking podcast.
Yeah, like
thing
the
right now,
people
but-
who are blindfolded and feeling different parts of an elephant. Like we don't quite get it. What are other words? I'm gonna Google.
What's
what are we
another
sitting
word
there? We're banging
for-
rocks there like cavemen.
Doom thesaurus. Catastrometer?
Oh, catastrophe is good.
Catastrometer.
Catastrometer.
Catastrometer. We're just gonna obscure our meter as much as possible.
Disastometer.
Disastometer is hilarious.
Disaster meter.
Disastroscope.
Cataclysm.
Disastroscope. That sounds like what the vehicle in this movie was. I mean, I like Doom meter or End of the Worldometer.
I like Doom's gauge.
Doom's gauge is pretty good. Ryan, I think you're gonna have more of an executive privilege here.
Okay,
'cause it is your season.
let's maybe wait on it. It'll hit us maybe.
Well, it is later. We'll get to it. I like your ideas about discussing if we can solve or survive these like scenarios in each movies. Do you guys have like a favorite like depiction of apocalypse in any media, like movie or otherwise?
I mean, Rain of Fire is pretty cool.
Okay, that rules. Yeah, Raid of Fire kicks ass. The Dragon Apocalypse, like
Yeah,
it's unique.
It's so I don't know. I feel like people don't know about it enough, and so I feel like I can say it, and people be like, "Oh, this guy knows a lot about movies."
Yeah, I've been spreading the gospel of Rain of Fire since our Rain of Fire episode. I think for me, it's probably The Last of Us. I think I just liked that story and that depiction, and I also think just mushrooms infecting people like that is like
What?
terrifying. The Last of
Is
Us
that
games.
what the plot is?
Yeah, it's based on like the cordyceps fungus, like that affects ants. It turns them into like ant zombies. So it's basically mutated to affect humans, so they become mushroom zombies.
I didn't know that.
And it's fucking creepy. It's creepy as shit. It's a great story. I think that's my favorite.
I thought the saddest was Interstellar because they were just like, this just happened slowly because it's what we're currently doing. It's
Wow,
not like-
we suck.
It's not like it was something that like suddenly was put onto us. My favorite surprise, and this is going to be a spoiler, is Cabin in the Woods. It was like really cool that it was like they were all a team trying to stop the end of the world in a slasher, packaging.
Right. It was kind of like they were trying to appease these gods that would have
Yeah.
brought like Ragnarok or some
sacrifices,
shit, right?
yeah.
Like that's pretty dope. It's pretty sick. So I'm excited to see the different scenarios we tee off with. And you picked the core, Ryan. Like, do you remember when this movie came out, or like,
I
do you
remember
seeing
things
it, or?
that happened that year, but I don't remember this movie.
Yeah. Because I think it's a pretty unique scenario. You don't really see the core involved with any apocalypse movies.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought it was going to be much more like science-y, like Deep Impact sort of, or like something like that.
I mean,
But
it was pretty sciencey. It
this
was
was-
just made up on the back of a napkin.
this is very Armageddon-like. And I thought, why did they make this movie if Armageddon already existed?
Yeah, I think it was definitely riding the wave of Armageddon. You guys might remember the Reddit post that this is where it kind of reminded me of the core, was that it was voted by a panel of scientists that like this movie was the least scientifically accurate from that panel, which I think's hilarious.
I think it's really funny because like it doesn't need to be.
right.
If they were gonna solve this problem, like let's say this was a real problem, I feel like it would be easier to not send a group of humans down. Like the pipe would have to be way smaller if you just sent the nukes down. Am I crazy?
I think
Well,
they did.
Yeah,
You're not crazy. I think they did figure out the solution better than Armageddon in that they trained astronauts to be drillers. And so I think that is a really good aspect of the movie.
They reversed it. It's the anti-Armageddon.
Yeah, that way it's more realistic.
If this movie and Armageddon existed in the same universe,
Oh, they do.
you think
They
they do?
100%. I mean, this is an Avatar prequel as well.
What?
Unobtainium. He's making an unobtainium joke.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's the same in the both fucking movies. Unobtainium.
You know what's weird? Avatar and this movie came out like 5 years apart.
That's fucked up, Ryan.
Which
Isn't that
is just
fucking
fucking
wild?
insane when
It
you
shows
think
you
about
how
the
terrible
CGI.
this movie is.
that is sick
CGI
and
whales
fucked up.
were like the worst thing I've ever seen. There's like Deep Blue Sea.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, that spaceship re-entering orbit was
that
like...
was
And they
That was-
flew,
I think
they,
I could
they
do
flew
that.
like 300 feet over Dodger Stadium. And then the next clip, they were like thousands of feet in the air, like still off the coast.
Well, LA exists in a massive pit. Well, Jace, you're I think you're the closest one to a science expert we have on our panel today.
Okay.
And we're gonna like have to lean into you as heavily as possible for this one because you are like you're an engineer and you know a lot of this stuff in this movie. Just kind of thumbs up or thumbs down, like good or bad.
Oh
for,
yeah, all the
science.
all the
Yeah.
scientists that
Okay.
reviewed this movie, they were fucking liars. They were
They're
in
idiots, right?
They were
Okay,
in the hands of big science. Big film got this one absolutely correct.
You can't say big in front of things and make it sound like a conspiracy.
Like
you can.
some people think that if the Earth stopped spinning instantaneously, everyone would just shoot off it if you weren't holding on to something.
Would they not?
But that obviously didn't happen in this movie, so they're wrong.
Yeah,
think
what
the
the
Earth
hell,
was-
right? Like, it doesn't make sense at all. It wasn't that the Earth stopped spinning, it was the core that stopped spinning.
The
But then,
core
like,
was
Yeah, there's some kind of conservation of angular momentum there that would kind of need to balance itself out to...
Yeah, why would that affect, like, the non-magnetic parts? It doesn't
Of
make any
the-
sense why there's, like... Yeah, it doesn't... this movie was terrible. Like, the Colosseum
Okay.
in Rome, that's 2,000 years old.
It exploded.
And
It
made
exploded.
of rock. Like, pure rock. They didn't even have metal when that shit was made. And it got hit by a strike of lightning and it fucking exploded. Like, exploded into flames.
They had metal, but yes.
I feel like 90% of this movie was dudes in a room like, dude, okay, hear me out. Fuck Nebraska, right? Rome. Boom, boom, boom.
Well,
They're like,
and they would just be like, oh no, there's an electrical storm.
It's a
Okay.
superstorm.
So what? Like, you don't have like weather. You like the people in charge of saving the planet by drilling into its core.
Yeah.
Are their weather system is some dude looking out a window?
Oh Jesus. So I mean, let's get down to like what the problem is in this movie, right? Like what's the setting, right? Like the premise of this movie, and you may need to help me out, Jace. Like the Earth's core stops spinning. So the spinning metal core creates the magnetosphere, right?
It is. Yeah, it does do that.
And so it stops spinning basically, and it fucks up our magnetosphere. So we get hit with a bunch of solar radiation and shit,
Correct.
and all this fucked up shit, right?
I think the
Yes.
premise, like if the core stopped spinning, the magnetosphere would disappear.
It would, in fact,
And-
disappear.
Yeah.
And we would get hit by more solar radiation. Like, that is fine. What they don't... Like, the fucking problem is that the Golden Gate Bridge wouldn't get hit by a laser. Like...
Have you seen the core stop spinning, Ryan? I mean,
Oh,
I like-
shine a laser.
we should put a tally mark right now for Golden Gate Bridge getting fucked, because I think that's going to be a recurring theme
Yeah.
in all of the movies we watch.
I think it would have been nice if. What was the rating on this movie?
It's got to be like PG-13.
Okay, I was gonna
Well, there
say
was not a lot
should-
of swears in doing it.
Yeah, they should have given it an R and just absolutely fucking melted that dude's arm off.
Yeah.
They had one good fuck in this movie, and I remember it ever since I saw it. And
You
that's
mean
when
like
he
the
was.
word?
No, it's when they were in the ocean.
You gotta say they had one good...
That's how
They
I say
said
it.
fuck once. Don't
Yeah,
say they
'cause
had one good fuck.
It was when Stanley Tucci was like, Jesus. Stanley Tucci says, "What the fuck am I doing?" Then explodes. And I think I remember that scene.
That yeah.
I also remember watching this because my dad and I rented this movie from Blockbuster when it came out in 2003. It was like one of those fun nights when like mom wasn't home, so we rent like a shitty movie and eat pizza, and then we watched it again the next morning. And I remember like we fucking loved this movie. I remember like there was a scene where the hacker guy is like hacking like the internet or whatever, and my dad like after like a bunch of beers was like, "Hack the planet, baby!" And I remember that moment in the movie, and I was like so hype. So that was like a fond memory I have of watching this movie. I mean, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the synopsis yet. Like, should we go there?
Should we actually jump in?
We could.
I guess it's my turn, right? I'm tasked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
let's get that out of the way before
I
we
shot
start.
myself. Okay. Wow. IMDb does a really good job in like 12 words.
90% of this movie is actually filmed in a colonoscopy.
We found it easier to simulate a core inside of a human body.
This movie was directed by John Amiel. I think that's how I say it.
I have
It
no
stars
idea. I'd
Aaron
never heard of him.
Eckhart and Hilary Swank. That's the main 1-2 punch. A bunch of good character actors as well, like we said, Stanley Tucci, Bruce Greenwood. The idea is that the Earth's core has stopped spinning. Oh no! Apparently that's bad.
Dun.
Then the only way to stop it from destroying the Earth, because the Earth is just getting destroyed for some reason, is to restart the core spinning. We didn't know that, of course, humans were the ones who stopped it, and a dude on the boat is one of the guys who stopped it. It doesn't make much sense, but anyways, we have to, like any good American, we have to nuke it back to health.
Classic.
And set it spinning like the tray in a microwave. And that's apparently going to work as long as we put nuclear bombs in the core. So they build the ship and they send it drilling down into the core with a laser. It like shoots a laser and like destroys the Earth in front of it. And they decide not to go straight down. They go on a little bit of a around the world in 80 days under the ground. Didn't make much sense.
the Marianas Trench because the core's thin here.
And yeah, that's it. They go and kind of like a submarine.
Yeah.
And they go put bombs in the Earth's core.
Speaking of core, Dad core movie?
Dad
Oh,
core
yeah.
movie.
Dad core. Okay,
Yeah.
we're agreed. It's
Yeah.
Dad core, like 100%. I mean, I think this is also much like Armageddon, just like made for dudes high fiving.
Also,
Oh,
go ahead.
at the outset here, do you think you guys will be giving points to the meter if it's the fault of the United States government that
Oh yeah,
the major
That is-
problem? Get halfway through the movie, oopsies.
it was us.
I sort of. I think
that's a funny.
I like where maybe the United States isn't at fault originally, but they kept it like under wraps.
But they always
you know?
solve it. It's important that the U.S. always solves it, though. It's never involved with anyone else.
And that was a plot point in this movie. They had to keep it secret for some
Oh,
reason.
that's
'cause
right.
They
So
thought,
they wouldn't-
like, okay, number one,
Okay.
why keep it secret? It's not like who
Yeah.
you think someone can stop you? Like you, if they could, do you think that a cop car is gonna show up and pull over the cord machine? Like,
Good luck catching that thing. And plus,
Yeah.
like, Russia gave like nukes for this mission. They were like, "Here's some nukes, guys. Like, go
doesn't make any
fucking
sense.
at them." So
Was there a fallback plan just to reactivate the earthquake machine
yeah,
to restart it? And were we told whether or not that would actually fix the problem?
I think they
I
didn't
think-
know.
yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of more like what other option do we have except hit the fuck up the core button again?
Yeah. Okay.
Why not just try that? Right?
Well, I think Aaron
Obviously.
Eckhart was like, if you hit it again, it would set off every volcano in the world and like. Kill
How
every-
the fuck
a
does he
bunch
know
of-
that? He learned what it is 6 seconds ago.
Why is he
And
on
also,
this
they
mission?
already fired it, and it didn't do that.
It stopped the core. I mean, look, it's this movie. It's not a lot of science in this.
I think this
Right.
movie would have made more money
Okay.
if it did real life Osmosis Jones and they
Oh.
honey I Shrunk the Kids and they shot this spaceship into somebody's butt to go blow up to go blow something up.
Wait, that's the Fantastic Voyage or the Magnificent Voyage, right? Like where they go inside someone's body with
I
a
haven't
shrink
seen
ray.
that movie.
There's a SpongeBob episode that's about it.
You could
Maybe.
re-edit. You could do a big mashup.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and put the interior shots from this movie, or even some of the exterior shots of it going through the tubes and stuff.
The kidney stone?
because
kidney
this,
stone.
there's a big geode in this movie. Could be a kidney stone.
That'd be so fun.
The this movie, the vehicle in this movie found a lot of tunnels. Do you think
Yeah.
the mantle has like tunnels in it?
Wait, it was making its tunnel.
No, it was like going sideways and like going through fucking tunnels.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
shit.
they were. I thought they were creating the tunnel. They were just avoiding material they couldn't drill through.
Because they weren't
think it
going.
was both.
They were just like sometimes they take 90-degree turns and be like, oh, there's a tunnel over here. Let's go in here.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, that. By the way,
Well-
the amount of pressure in the Earth, there aren't
no
any
fucking way.
pockets down there.
Yeah.
No fucking way. I mean,
I had to Google that. They don't exist.
They didn't show the mole people in this movie who made the tunnels too. So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the whole like crystals and the geode and like pure diamond asteroids dodging, like insane. I think one of the reasons why I mean, despite its faults, kind of enjoyed this movie was the fucking audacity of it. Where they were just like, you know what? It's all vibes. I'm just gonna fucking make this insane ass premise and just put some crazy shit down there. Because like that panel of scientists who were criticizing this movie, their theory was that if a movie is scientifically inaccurate, it'll sell less tickets because audiences will pick up that it's bullshit. That was their mission. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that.
But like now living in this age where we have more scientifically accurate movies, I can go back and watch this ridiculous ass movie, and I think I can enjoy it a little more. Just because it's nuts.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I guess I can enjoy it, but I still feel like I'm being insulted.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Like, as they're going down into the deepest part of the Earth, you're telling me a hole opens up by chance, by complete coincidence, within 30 seconds of this mission happening, a hole opens in the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and a vortex of water, for the first time ever, starts draining the oceans
pretty
into the
stupid.
bottom of the Mariana Trench, and whales get sucked into it or something like that.
those whales would have been fucking dead.
Those whales only go like 600 feet deep, not
Why are those
7
whales so deep?
miles. And the Mariana Trench is not a trench like that. It's not just like a trench that's like 30,000 feet deep. It's like a large slope. It's the bottom of a depression. And like, so I don't know. I didn't enjoy this at all. And in fact, like, I don't really like super scientifically accurate movies either, but there needs to be some sort of science fiction in it. If it's just a science movie, it's going to be boring. And if you try to make a really exciting movie out of real science, you're going to have to pull some strings somewhere. And I don't know. It needs to have, like, Interstellar had the wormholes and stuff, which was science fiction. And that was the plot device that allowed them to access other stuff. And yeah, I don't know.
How clearly does a movie need to delineate between real science and science fiction. Like, this movie is trying to place its characters as masters of the science. This guy's a professor who's being brought in by the U.S. government because he is the subject matter expert.
Aaron Eckhart. Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart. And besides knowing that it's bullshit, for the sake of the movie, you can assume it's science fiction. At what point in the movie do they need to make the decision, to make it clear?
Well, I
Or
think
do they?
that they're not approaching this with like, yeah, we know exactly what's going on. And then they're just saying like made up stuff. Or it's not accurate at all. Where in Interstellar, they're like, we don't know what's in the middle of the black hole. And then they get there and it's something magical. Whereas in this movie, it just seemed everybody was so sure of themselves. And the one thing they didn't know was the only thing that mattered for the plot, which was that the core's density was different. But then why did they jump into the hole with only one? Like, they jumped in there with an exact number of megatons for the nukes. And they're like, well, our measurements are slightly different than what we predicted, even though we knew it was going to be different than we predicted.
Yeah, that would be.
But we only brought enough for what we predicted. It was so dumb.
What he said before they went down, they were like, what if it's different than what we predicted? And he was basically like, shut up, idiot.
Well, right, so bring another nuke.
They were very wishy-washy on that because there were multiple times. Some of my favorite points in the movie were like I think it's Delroy Lindo's character who is like egging on Stanley Tucci to say, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. And multiple times they had stated, science is making the best guess. But
yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly to your point. The reason you make your best guess is like for engineering, you over-engineer something. You put a safety factor and be like, hey, we think we need 100 megatons of bomb. We're going to take 200 to 250 just in case.
And that's what I didn't like, is that they approached everything as if they were so sure. Like, oh, the whales are the orcas. There's freaking orcas swimming around in Hawaii or something, or like the Philippines. And
they're
like,
off course because they
like,
heard
oh,
it.
they must be off course because the magnetosphere is messed up. Or you could just get footage of whales that actually live in the Philippines. Like,
Ryan,
you don't have to do that. I think what happened was, and I was talking to somebody, and this is what they said, maybe they made the CGI of the orcas, and then somebody in the production room was like, orcas don't live in the Philippines. And someone was like, we'll just get a voiceover to like say.
Yeah.
There's a map that shows the blue whale having a primary range and secondary range around the Marianas Trench on this map.
Yeah, but what about orcas?
Eat that, Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Whale scientists.
It was the orcas that were supposed to be off course.
Okay. Well, look, this is during that period we were talking about where everyone had lead poisoning and they were just a little dumber back then. And now we're a little better. And to that point, I don't know if you guys read that about John Rogers, the screenwriter, where he was talking about the scientific inaccuracies of this movie. The way he kind of pushed back on that point was that he said he spent 3 years fighting other inaccuracies, including, quote, to get rid of the dinosaurs in the movie, quote, to get rid of the magma walks and spacesuits that they had planned, and a windshield for the ship.
Can we rewind?
Yeah.
Dinosaurs?
Apparently they wanted dinosaurs like in the core of the earth in this movie originally.
Kind of like that new King Kong, like the Godzilla vs. King Kong with the second dimension.
Yeah, or Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
So you're telling me they wanted to find dinosaurs? Wanted like a second Earth where dinosaurs lived under the crust?
Yeah. That was like the original, and he had to argue to get rid of that. It took
he
him
had
like
to
3
argue
years
to get rid of that?
Yeah, because he was like, that's not scientific.
Is that one of those situations where like an executive's nephew is put in charge of something and he knows nothing? It's like,
dinosaurs.
My kid loves them. Find a way to put him in, John. And a windshield on the ship, which is just incredible. I remember thinking at the time when the movie came out, it was cool that they had screens instead of a windshield, because I was like, oh shit, it feels claustrophobic, like they're underground.
Can I talk about the ship real quick?
Please.
First off, they didn't go straight down.
Is that an angle?
But that makes it like 45% longer. They would have got there days earlier if they went straight down.
Exit the atmosphere at a 45-degree angle.
That's for other reasons, because you have to get into orbit.
Up, down, what's the difference besides opposite?
Everything. So they went down at an angle, and they said, oh, the interior of the capsules, because it's like kind of like train cars.
Yeah.
The interior of the cars is not going
looked
to
like a
be.
turd.
It's all going to be. Yeah, it's all going to be level because I've got gyroscopes in there that are turning the inside of the car, so it'll always be level as long as it's up to 45 degrees.
Right.
That makes no sense. Like they would have to be inside little balls, because if you
Yeah.
take a cylinder and you turn it 45 degrees, it flattens out, you guys. Like, it would literally be flat. Just make it like the space station. Put the holes into the next compartment in the ground and just use ladders. And you could go straight down. Just put everything on the freaking walls.
You're just, Ryan, you're thinking too hard. All right, that's not going to make us
No,
money
I'm
here.
not. Because
I only had 3 months to build it, damn it.
They wrote this other option into the script, and they had sets and like people talking about it and stuff. So they thought about how to make this like make sense. But people be like, well, why aren't they like? How are they standing on the ground of the car if it's going straight down? Oh, we'll just say the word gyroscopes in 45 degrees.
And that worked in the lead poisoning America.
It did.
It was good enough.
It doesn't like it's so disorienting to me because like they're walking around upright. And they should not be. They should be like facing down
No.
towards the core of the earth.
It makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no fucking
And also
sense.
gravity.
Well,
When they got into the core, gravity would be less.
Because it would be pulling from different
There'd be
different
part of
angles
the
and
Earth's
shit.
mass would be on the other side of them.
that's a pretty, there's, well,
Jace, science consultant.
there's a graph of how density varies as you move towards the center of the Earth, because there's a there's a differentiation of the density of the different layers.
Okay.
So because the core is so dense, the majority of the mass of the Earth would still be pulling them down towards the core. But you are right; it would be lessened. So like getting to that layer would mean that you're about.
Yeah, it wouldn't be maybe like they wouldn't be weightless, but
Yeah,
it would be like
So
they got to the core.
I threw it out the window as soon as they said, like, they chose the Marianas Trench. Like, they're going 2,000 miles, I think is what they said. Like, why go to the Marianas Trench to gain an extra 7?
Yeah,
It's less
Also-
than 1. It's less than 1% of the total distance you're going to travel. Just leave from Ohio, dude.
Also, like, they built that expensive ass ship, right? And they're holding it like what, 200 feet above the ocean?
Yeah, why not
and
just
they
put it
drop
in the freaking ocean and just get in the bottom?
Yeah, holy shit! Like, you don't just drop something straight into the ocean
It would
from
crumple.
like soup.
It would just fall over.
It's made of
then
unobtainium.
And that's one thing too. Is like, did you guys notice as soon as the cartridges were ejected from the ship, they crumpled into like little balls?
Yeah, what
Yeah.
was the deal with that?
Why wouldn't that happen as soon as the pressure was broken?
I don't know. I don't know, Ryan. This is a tough movie, and there's a lot of stuff we need to solve. But I know we're having fun talking about the science of this movie. Can we briefly talk about the characters, the team? Because I love a good
You guys just
team
watched this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how it's so fresh. Because I was just like, the characters. I don't even know their names.
How long has it been for you, Ryan?
It's been about a week and a half, maybe.
Oh man, that's tough. Well, I love a good like team up, like scenario where they kind of like go through each person. Because
we
you have Aaron
Apocalypse
Eckhart,
Boy,
Apocalypse Boy,
which
himself.
would be the worst deli dude,
It would suck. He makes the core stop spinning.
or starts it back again when he's calmed
starts it.
down.
So does he like hold the
Don't
planet
make me
hostage?
angry.
He's like, he's just robbing a bank, Tom. Jesus Christ, like fucking.
I
calm
will
down.
stop the core of the earth. God, so dramatic, dude. We're federally insured. Just take the money.
So what does that do when he stops the core?
We're in about 3 days.
The birds are gonna
the
go crazy.
Colosseum's gonna explode.
It's always the Colosseum. We don't know why it gets struck by
then we
30,000
don't-
bolts of lightning.
We haven't tried building in a different spot.
Yeah. And then you have Aaron Eckhart. You have Hilary Swank, who's the ace astronaut pilot who lands the shuttle in the LA River. Who else we got? Got
Stanley Tucci,
the Tooch.
the foreseeable bad guy.
I loved seeing him show up in this movie was a pleasant surprise for me. I was super psyched to see him.
Wearing a
And he
wig.
Was he wearing a wig?
Yeah. Dude's been bald for a very long time.
It didn't look. He looks good with hair. He looks good without.
He makes
I
an
didn't
appearance
realize it
every
was
now
a
and
wig until I saw somebody comment on it. And they're like, That wig
Wig.
was so fucking bad there was makeup on it. And I was like, oh, that's...
Oh shit. Well, I thought it was a fun role. He was a smarmy asshole.
Yeah.
Which he's so good at playing. He was hamming it up. And then you have the
Dr. Ed
What's his
Braz, Delroy Lindo,
Delroy Lindo,
He was good. I liked him.
Donald Joseph Qualls, the Rat.
the Rat.
Mr. Rat.
I think Braz was my favorite in this movie, where he was like the designer of the laser and the ship too, which he just randomly had. He randomly had this infinitely powerful laser
And
like,
wasn't using it.
unbreakable armor.
Just sitting around.
Yeah, and like the military guys are like, think of the applications. What is this? Why does this guy have this?
And he also has this indestructible material. Like, he has both of these things.
That's insane, right?
Why
Like,
not
Yeah.
be a supervillain? Like, do something.
I like the story of Stanley Tucci, like literally disenfranchising. I don't know if disenfranchising is the
stealing,
right word.
yeah.
Like stole his technology, stole his research. It was like, well, it was, kind of 50-50. So instead of being famous and being taken directly to this board of the U.S. government, he's literally in the desert like, I'm making fun things.
Can I pitch a better version of this movie? Maybe not better, but a more like superhero-y version. So those two have a feud. They invent Project Destiny, which is the laser earthquake thing that stops the core originally in this movie. They invent this technology that can affect the Earth's core as a form of mutually assured destruction in case Russia develops the same thing. Okay, Stanley Tucci's character, rips the other one off and says, I get 100% credit, I sold it to the government, yada, yada, yada. The other guy gets kind of thrown to the curb and stabbed in the back. He gets so angry, he retained remote control access, and he fires the thing.
oh shit!
Yeah.
Out of
And
spite.
Then he goes into secret in his like little cave, and he develops the cure for the core, the ship, and the laser. And then he sells it to the government. And when they show up and they're like, they're like, how much money would it take to get this going in 13 weeks or something like that? And he's like, oh, billions of dollars. And they're like, could you take a check? What if he did the whole thing to scam them for money?
Oh shit! It's Big Core or whatever he is, because he caused the problem.
Yeah.
Big evil.
Big evil. That's a good villain story. It's more despicable because the villain in this movie, I guess, quote unquote villain, Stanley Tucci's character. I mean, he did it basically by accident due to his hubris, right?
Yeah,
He was like, it's not my fault. Like,
Kinda lame.
little lame. And I don't think it added much to the movie, the fact that he did it, because it was more of just a man versus environment type of struggle, it seemed like.
They were already there.
Yes, I mean, it was just, I don't know. Like, there was also Serge in this movie, who was, I believe, was a Russian scientist who was Aaron Eckhart's best friend. And then, of course, Bruce Greenwood playing French. Yeah,
French, yeah.
French. I don't know, man. I'm sorry. Sorry, French people. Bruce Greenwood as an astronaut who dies pretty quick. I think this
They
movie...
fucking offed him.
Yeah, dude, that was legendary.
that
They
was Death
played
One.
it. I'm sorry, you were going to continue.
Yeah.
They I really wish they played it into it harder that Hilary Swank killed him. He requested that the lasers be fired in like pre-mode, and he's standing right in front of them. And instead of him getting laser blasted in the head, which I thought happened, I had to rewind, a rock falls from the ceiling. So I thought there was going to be
You
some...
wanted him to get lasered?
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
that would have been
I was-
so
that would have
metal,
been,
dude.
They were like, because it would have later on,
Right.
not like 30 minutes later in the movie, she's having to say, yes, I killed him twice because she messed something up and then she didn't hit the eject door to get the French scientist
Yeah.
out of the escape pod. She was making an executive decision. So if she would have killed two people.
KD ratio off the charts. Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of a Chekhov's ejection pod in this movie too, where they explain like the ship can break off into fragments, which is responsible for most of the deaths in this movie, besides the captain. Captain gets like crystal icicle through the head. Classic Alaska way to die. Death 2, you get Serge, right, who crushed to death by
Compacted.
weapons. That was disturbing
Metal.
to watch. That was fucked up. Was it Death 3 was was Braz, right? Science guy.
Yeah. He
Slowly
went out on
cooked
his
to
own
death.
terms.
He did. But watching him, like watching those boots, I remember that from the movie, like just seeing his boots stick and this thing
Well, I
melt
didn't
in
like
his
about
hand.
that scene at all
Yeah.
is that his solid steel wrench, melted within 5 seconds, and he, as a human being, lasts like 2 minutes.
The wrench wasn't in the
His
4,500
suit
degree.
was just chilling.
His suit was they said it like 10 seconds earlier. They're like, our suits can survive up to 3,000.
Yeah.
That does like
How much
But
is
he's
the suit?
grabbing things that are metal on the ship. That's
Well,
like
it
what
melts in
he's.
his
That's
hand.
like what he's doing. Is he's grabbing other
Unobtainium.
metal things.
It's unobtainium.
Unobtainium.
I thought unobtainium was like super unrefined, and that's why the outside of the
It
core
looked like
was
a
like a
turd.
dookie log. but then it
polish
had
it.
like really precisely machined parts that looked like stainless steel.
Yeah, I don't.
Why did the
You're
core,
right. You're right.
If they could do that, why didn't they polish the outside of the ship to make it smooth and make it more frictionless?
I don't know. This is.
Why not drill the hole ahead of time and just put the ship down there?
I don't know. Use
Yeah,
a
like
laser.
bobber drop it, just like drill a hole and then be like, okay, we're good. I mean,
I don't know.
can't
Maybe-
really make a steel rope that long that could support its weight. That'd be pretty.
I think the point is that they were in a hurry and they were just like, put the drill on the fucking turd and just send it in there and hopefully
We have
it gets
one
there.
idea, and someone writes like a really terrible idea, and they're like, ah, fuck.
Fuck, that's
We
the
should
one.
have said the word two. We should have said 2 ideas.
The last death with Zimsky, I feel like he had the easiest out of everybody, out of all the deaths.
Which
'Cause,
one?
Zimsky, the Stanley Tucci's character,
Oh, he got nuclear exploded.
Instantaneously exploded.
and he's like laughing with a cigarette in his mouth. Pretty good exit.
Smoking a stogie.
What's my favorite
This was-
scene in the movie?
It was a good scene. And it was after where him and Aaron Eckhart was getting absolutely fucked and bodied by that nuclear bomb.
That was a really long scene.
so funny.
Oh, I'm getting crushed by this nuclear warhead. I'll get you. Ow, my shoulder's getting crushed by this nuclear warhead. Yeah, I'm pushing on it. I'm trying to get it. We'll get it. It really hurts. I know. I'm trying really hard. It's crushing me. Yeah, it's really heavy. I don't think I can move it. Wow, my God, it really hurts. I'm under a nuclear warhead. Like, oh my God, was that scene so long?
And then it flips again and hits him in the leg. He's like, ah! And, it
then
rolls
it
over
flips on
his
the
leg.
other guy. And the whole thing's. It was like a scary movie. It was like spoof.
That nuclear warhead was fucking those guys up. I actually it was funny because Amber walked by the screen just for 1 second, and in that 1 second, the nuclear warhead flipped on the other guy, crushed his leg, and he hit his head on the thing. And I missed just that 1 second. I was like, wait, what the fuck happened? He's on the ground. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Change places.
Yeah. I mean, this movie, I think, was just so unintentionally hilarious. The beginning of the movie, too, I was like, there's no way this isn't a fucking parody. It's written by an AI or something.
I totally agree. Did you guys like the Alaska name drop? Where they're like, where's
yeah.
Project Destiny? It's in the one place nobody would ever go.
I said it.
Somewhere in
I saw it
Alaska.
zoom out, and I was like, it's gonna be fucking Alaska.
Also, what was that map of Alaska? It looked
Yeah,
like
it
a
was all
kindergartner
distorted.
drew it. I was like, what the fuck? That's not Alaska? It looked like what Alaska would look like in 5 billion years, where the plates shift.
Yeah. And wouldn't they need the laser on the way out?
That's what I thought, but then their excuse was it was just like the SpongeBob episode where he's like, ride the shockwave out of here, and they're going through the lava tubes and hoping that it gets
Right.
burped out. So
But-
they're banking on empty space all the way up, which is
Yeah, Ryan,
Which
it
is
just
why
solidifies
wouldn't they
your
just go
previous
down
point.
the lava tubes?
Maybe they found the same hole on the way up. Bingo.
Boingo.
Can we
Mango.
can we address the rest of the way up when they're like, oh my God, the shockwave's coming. We gotta go down this hole. Whoa. 16 hours later. Oh, we're going down the shockwave. We're almost there. Did you guys notice that? The final part of the movie.
Yeah.
They 16 hours latered us in the middle of the climax.
Right.
And the scene before and after the time jump, they were identical. They were driving
Yeah.
through lava tubes, and then it said 16 hours later. And then they
Wait, it said that?
it said 16 hours later on the screen.
It's a long time, but I bet it was an exciting 16
It took him.
hours.
It took
I
him
mean,
5 days to get down there.
Julie
so-
got irrationally upset. No, I'm not talking about this the passage of time, but that
16
during the
hours
climax.
later.
Yeah, it was she said it was like a SpongeBob title card where the joke is that this characters are doing the same thing after hours and hours. Now it's like when SpongeBob's trying to put the one paint, and Patrick's like, "Come on, hurry up! I'm running out of time cards."
There was a lot of time cards in this movie too, because after that sequence, there was another like 4 hours later, and they
Yes.
pop out of the bottom too, and I was like, what the fuck happened between that? They were just they saw the exit, and then it was 4 hours for them to get out of the exit.
And how long were they underwater for that? Like a whole U.S. naval fleet was mobilized from
And found them. Like you're
Probably
telling me we can find
days.
them in like a day, but we can't find anything else on the bottom of the ocean that we've been searching for 100 years.
Guys, it's the whales.
It's the whales! It's the whales!
I love how
Did you know that he? Okay, hold on. We gotta go back to the whales. We can't jump off the whales.
Okay, yeah.
Did the guy get a phone call from the whales? He picked up the phone rang, and he picked it up, and it was like ultrasound. He's like, it's just noise, and he put it back on the hook, and the guy's like, no, that's whales. Did the whales call him specifically?
It's whales again. These fuckers keep calling us.
Do the whales use phones?
I think
How do the whales know this one person's phone number who's searching for the boat?
And why don't they ever like listen to them too if they keep calling on the boat phone? I don't know, something to think about. But I love the line, it's whales, and also the line, the planet is healing itself, being shouted.
Stupid.
Just incredible. Incredible movie, and to have the whales be like the solution to finding the ship too is just insane. The other, do you guys remember the bird scene in this movie?
Yeah, at the beginning.
The fucking buck wild bird scene.
I feel bad for that child, first of all. Second of
got
all,
attacked by pigeons.
no fucking pigeons blowing out a window on a skyscraper. I don't care how buck wild it's going.
Wouldn't that
Pigeons
happen
dying.
all the time? Like
Yeah.
in real life, if they could bust the window by hitting it like that, that would happen on a daily basis.
Yeah. This also started kind of the trend of birds going crazy and hitting things in the 2000s, because I feel like that was in like 10 different. I'm going to put another tally right now. Just
Birds
calling
going
the shot.
crazy.
Birds going crazy, hitting the side of buildings.
Golden
and shit.
Gate Bridge.
Golden Gate Bridge getting fucked. Because like that was a hilarious ass sequence of the birds just like hitting shit. I also feel like maybe they wouldn't smack into shit. Like maybe they would see it and not
fly
smack
around
into
it.
it. Yeah, like even if they were a little disoriented. And there was just like some Mr. Magoo ass like bus driver driving the thing, and it's on his wheels, and he's like, oh, and flips the whole
Never
bus
hit
over.
the brakes.
It was just like it absolutely annihilated the city with the pigeons. Yeah, it fucking just speechless. I'm speechless.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about. So can we get to the final discussion questions?
Oh,
Could we survive? I think yeah, because 99.999% of people survived this, right?
yeah, I mean, I suppose we could
Yeah,
just
we
chill,
wouldn't even
right?
know about it unless
I'm not gonna.
On the Golden
Believe
Gate
some
Bridge
we're in the
fucking-
crew.
or in the
yeah.
Coliseum.
I mean, there was some conspiracy theorist who like leaked the info. I don't know if I would even believe that.
Right.
So,
But
yeah,
now
I
we get
would say-
superstorms all the time. Guys, you think the cores stopped moving?
you think the core stopped?
Holy shit.
My internet's been kind of bad. Okay, so could we survive? I mean, we could talk about as the crew. Like, do you think if we were in this core crew, like, could we make it through this? Like, do you think we
yeah,
can
because
solve
none of
this?
us is a dumbass and to say turn the laser on when we're standing right in front of the laser.
I don't
Ooh,
think
pretty colors.
there's a lot of scenes where people had to be like, I'll stay behind, you guys go ahead. And that happened like 4 times in this movie.
And I would say, okay, see ya.
I don't think I'm gonna.
Well, I would have vetoed Stanley Tucci's idea to go to the Marianas Trench. So
Yeah,
that's
it's-
out the window.
Yeah,
We're probably not hitting the geode.
I would have said, just please go straight down. I'll just stand on the edge of the room for a little while.
Sit in the chair.
Yeah, just put the chairs in a different orientation.
Didn't somebody in this movie say, like, I don't believe in seatbelts? Was this around, like, when seatbelt laws were enacted?
I feel like seatbelts were the original masks, where people were like, I can't breathe with this thing on.
And it was
Jesus.
such an easy way to like goad someone on the internet.
Yeah.
Like on Reddit, like if someone was going off about mask mandates, be like, so what do you think about seatbelts?
Yeah,
And they'd be
yeah.
like, well, we shouldn't be made to wear those here. Oh, okay.
like,
So
well.
you're a moron.
It's like, I know a guy who died and he was wearing a seatbelt. That's why I never wear them.
Got hit by a train. Hit by a meteor.
Fucking- I don't want to be hit by a meteor. Yeah, I mean, can we think of a better solution for this? instead of nuking it?
All the things we've said. Oh, instead of nuking it,
Yeah.
go to the moon.
Go to the moon?
Yeah, fuck off.
What?
Just go to Mars.
Oh, just give up. Yeah, just fucking leave.
Mr. President, we're going to take you to the moon. No one else. No.
Yep, just you. You're gonna die on the moon while we die here. We can instead of nuking the core and making the core spin, we can maybe try to create thrusters on the surface of the Earth and make the surface spin faster, and the friction would make kind of spin the middle.
That's a good idea. And then we can just slow it back down later.
Yeah, slow it back down
Or
with the
have
thrusters.
12-hour days.
Spin them. 12-hour days, and then we'll have 4-hour work days.
Well,
Guys.
no,
Whoa,
they're not going to
we've
let you
done
get
it.
off that easily.
Okay.
We've done it, you guys.
We would age twice as fast though with the Earth spinning that fast.
Yeah, we'd only lasted 40 years.
But wait, well, the years wouldn't be faster though. The years would go the same. Just the days would be a lot more.
What would happen to
Yeah,
dogs?
the human body wouldn't. God damn it. No. You're right.
Okay, if we had one. Okay.
Would a
Dogs,
dog
2
year
weeks,
then be
max.
3.5 years or 14 years?
Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, dogs.
Would dogs age at the same rate?
Dogs would age faster too. We would all age faster in the solution, but this core wouldn't have to
How
be.
long
we'd have
is
to
a
dig.
lizard year?
I'm gonna look up how long a lizard year is.
Do lizards have too wide of a median age?
There's a lot of different types, guys.
What is the
I'm
blue
gonna-
anole?
what's that closest to? A gecko or an iguana?
I don't know. Well, it's scaly.
Okay,
like
I'll look
a-
up a gecko because there's tons of those. Okay.
Ryan, you're a fucking scaly. You need to know this information.
I don't know how long they live.
Guys, a gecko has the same ass rule as dogs.
7?
10-year-old gecko-
Wait, so someone knows how long a gecko year is? This is not the first time that question's been asked.
It's
A
7
lot of
fucking
people
years.
own geckos.
All right.
I'm 84 in gecko years. I'm gonna start saying that's how old I am. How old am I in gecko?
In iguana years.
Wait,
you're like,
no, we don't translate. It's only the geckos
Okay.
that translate.
Okay,
I'm so
fine,
dumb.
fine. Okay, gecko years. You're about 190. All right.
No, it would be you would divide me. You would divide me into geckos, not
Oh, Jesus Christ.
multiply me.
How many?
How long's the gecko year?
Every one
7
every one human year for a dog is 7 dog years.
Yeah,
It's
so
7
divide my
So-
age by 7. So I'm 4 gecko years.
No, it doesn't work like that. You're
I'm
like
4
you're
gecko
in-
years.
You're like fucking. You're 28, right? Like.
Yeah.
That means.
Each
And
one
if I
of
was a
your
gecko,
years
I'd
is
be
7
4.
gecko years. 7
If I
times
was a
28.
gecko, I'd be 4.
if that's what you're
Doesn't
saying.
work like that, man.
Yeah,
You-
because
that means-
I'd be that far away through my gecko life if I was a gecko. Geckos live till what? They're 12?
I get what he's saying, but
I gecko retire at 8?
Should we do the meters?
Do geckos have pensions?
I like how this movie ends with a new metal song in true like early 2000s fashion.
wait,
like-
what?
Like a new new metal song, like like the genre, like new metal. It's like Korn or
What are we talking
Slipknot
about?
or like Evanescence.
You know, I
Is
was
this
probably
music?
so checked out. I don't even.
Yeah, the credits music where it's like
Oh, I don't listen to music.
end of the world. Like it was just this hardcore. Yeah, I mean it was like the Daredevil soundtrack. It's just tonally crazy.
Wake me up inside.
Can't wake up. Okay, we gotta put our foot down.
What's
Yeah.
the endometer? Oh, that sounds like a proctologist.
Endometer, I don't like.
That's pretty fucking funny.
What does the...
That's so stupid.
It's so simple. It just might work.
The endometer.
Do we just want to do Doom's
Tomorrow-ometer?
meter?
Doom's meter? That's so...
Doom
I think
meter?
endometer is hilarious. What?
Endometer isn't. You have to explain that. No
Endometer?
one knows what the
It's the
fuck
end of the
that
world.
means. That sounds like a butt measuring.
That's why it's funny. Butts are funny. I'm getting an endometer in 3 days.
Do you,
That's not a joke. What's the butt camera called?
Endoscope?
yeah. Thank you.
Endoscope. Yeah, we gotta do endometer then. That's so close.
I still like the doomed gauge
The doomed gauge. The Doom's gauge.
because it sounds like doomsday. DOOMED gauge.
Doomsday.
gauge.
Doomed gauge.
So you guys are saying different things. So let's put out the candidates. So there's
Okay.
doom gauge. There's doom gauge,
no, I said Doom's gauge.
and he's saying
Doom's like-
doom's gauge. But
doomed
but
gauge.
nobody says doomed day.
Is this a bone apple tea
They
moment?
say doomsday.
I know they say doomsday, but
So to make it, your argument was that it would sound like doomsday. But
Well-
he was saying the one that sounded like doomsday. And I'm-
doomsgage doesn't really sound like doomsday. Maybe we should
Okay.
use gauge.
All right, meter.
Can we do endometer, please?
Okay, fine. If you we could we could do endometer. All right, it's your season, and it's the end. Okay, so we'll just have to explain that the endometer is about the end of the world, right? Like,
Yeah, and when we get a season about colonoscopies, we'll have the same meter.
colonoscopy season, yeah. Cool. Ryan, do you want to start the endometer? Like what, like the parameters are, and like how you feel about this movie?
How cool is the scenario? I think
Yes.
like, is it the perfect disaster movie? I think it's rather unique. So up there, and it's like a major influence on the plot. It's not really a character movie at all. So those two factors weigh in favor. On the other hand, it's really fucking stupid, and humans caused it, like by accident. That's what I don't like that. So I think because it seems like it's not a Mother Nature thing. It's not something that was like destined to happen that we have to fight through.
Aliens coming to Earth in any movie isn't.
Yeah, but it's much more like the God
Like a force
machine
of
that's
nature.
outside of our control. Whereas
versus
if,
our own hand.
If
Like,
Stanley Tucci didn't exist in this world, like we wouldn't have needed to go to the core. And like it's not like War of the Worlds would be prevented if Stanley Tucci didn't exist.
right. Okay, so that's a little bit of a knock in your column.
Yeah. So,
So I'm just one question. So you prefer your end of the world movies to be entirely fictional? Because
No.
there's some precedence that humans fuck up the world and fuck everything up.
oh
so like,
yeah, if they're like, I'm
So him
saying, like,
causing
a
it could be-
human. A human was like, "What happens if I push this button?" And it stops
Right,
the
right.
core of the Earth. Like, just don't push the goddamn button. Whereas,
I think
a climate
yeah.
change thing, that's more like that is kind of Mother Nature.
I think I agree. I think it seems scarier when it's not human caused. Like when I
Yeah.
found out Stanley Tucci was the reason, I was like, oh, all right. Like,
well,
not
the
just
U.S.
like,
government was the reason.
right. It's just, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Ryan. What do you think about the scenario?
I'm gonna go with a 5. It's a good middle ground because
Okay.
it is the end of the Earth, sort of, I guess. Right? Like it is kind of like a doomsday scenario.
It would do it. It would do the trick. It would cook the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, another 2 days and they were fucked
But
for sure.
I think it has some demerits, but it has some positives. It doesn't get a bonus point for the world actually ending. I think if the world actually ends, if it actually happens, you would get a bonus point from old Ryan.
Are you okay? And that could be subdivided. So like the world exploding counts as a point there, but
Freaking
like 95% of the
obliterating.
population is going
Yeah.
away also counts.
Yeah, I would
Okay,
say
0.5.
so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
All right.
Because
a
like only
5.
like 20 people died from this, and like 1,000 birds.
Yeah, it's pretty lame. Like, man, all these people with pacemakers. It's like, they're gonna die anyway.
It was a lot of
They're on borrowed time.
That was like an extinction level event too for birds. Like,
And birds with
birds got-
pacemakers.
almost certainly dead. Like the 3 that have pacemakers. Ryan, I'm finding myself agreeing with you, especially with regards to like the scenario of the movie. So like I thought it was a cool scenario. Would it work in causing the end of the world? Fuck yeah! If the core stopped spinning, I think it would fuck up the world pretty good. I love that scene with the peach, which made no sense because like he explains, he's like, if the magnetosphere goes away, the Earth will be like cooked. And no reaction from the military guys, but then he flames the peach, and they're like, "Oh, fuck!" Like,
I did that with Axe body spray.
I just remember that scene. But yeah, like the depiction of it was interesting, but yeah, like the scientific inaccuracies, I think, kind of pulls it away from me. It's not as like a scary of a premise. I think when they present it wrong, because I'm not sure what to think of it. I don't know if any of these things would actually happen if our core stopped spinning. I really don't know. So that's going to get some demarcations or some demerits from me. The way they solved it, I think I'm going to kind of include in my meter. Nuking it so it spins good. It's kind of funny. I think it's going to get a point for me there. And Ryan, I like your thing of like, did it actually happen? Did the end of the world actually happen? I think it happened a little bit. Coliseum exploded pretty good. A couple people died, but yeah, it didn't actually happen. So I think I'm also going to go with the 5 here. I think it's definitely a disaster, doomsday, apocalypse movie for sure, but maybe not the best example of like the craziest.
It's pretty
scenario.
mild.
Pretty mild, mid.
That's a lot to digest. I didn't think about rating this movie for.
Yeah, the end meter, the endometer,
Yeah.
Endometer is funny.
endometer.
I thought as far as the information they provided to us for the end of the world in this movie, that I enjoyed the scientifically inaccurate portions and how they were portrayed. So I think coming up with a poopmobile that shoots down to the center of the Earth with a super laser that's powered by plutonium, and
pretty
then
cool.
like the I didn't teach the computer to recognize empty space. Like all that stuff kind of added up to be enjoyment of the movie. So otherwise, yeah, they I don't think you're ever gonna get the core of the Earth stopping from spinning as being a major topic of an end of the world film again. So
Can you imagine?
and I don't know where we're gonna go from here. I think you guys are right. A 5 is safe. I don't have anything to knock it to make the endometer lower. More people could have died. Like the entire population of the world didn't know this was happening.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Besides, like the fact that the internet was in its infancy and people were like, it was like Google all strange events that happened in the last 2 years.
The fact that we all gave this a 5 or are thinking about giving it a 5 is a good perspective for in the future. Is it better or worse than the core being an example of like what end of the spectrum to grade it on?
Yeah, I feel like The Core is a very paint by numbers type of disaster movie too, and I think that's kind of it's a good like baseline, like a control almost.
Dear God, 90% of this, well, maybe not 90, 80% of this movie was spent inside that ship or underneath it, it felt like. So, volume of the disaster in this movie is high.
Volume's high.
Quality's low.
Isn't it crazy too? They used that hacker to basically play Facebook moderator for all disinformation in the entire world about the core.
Well, the
that's
internet at that
2003
point
for
was
you.
like it's still social
AOL
media.
chat rooms.
Yeah, like the depiction of the internet was so arcane because they needed to include that line of him like, I speak ones and zeros. That could do all these things. This is what the internet can do. And I remember watching Friends from that same year where they were like, he's like, oh, I'm going to the internet cafe. And everyone laughs. Like, you fucking nerd. He's like, I learned it on the internet. Like, it was just like this bullshit thing nerds do. Yeah. All right, we got 5s across the board. Yeah.
Is the apocalypse better?
Apocalypse is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure where to put meter in the word.
Apocalypse is I like meters that are like a mouthful.
Apocalypse.
Yeah, because
That's good.
what did I?
So better than
I'll do-
endometer?
I like it better than endometer.
Better than endometer.
Oh, damn.
I like apocalypse.
Let's
Yeah,
go
it's
with
the episode one.
apocalypse.
Working out the kinks.
This is live, baby.
You guys know in the bird scene there was a trout that was smashed against the window. They
Yeah,
included that as like
I read that in the trivia. I didn't see it.
They're kind of getting dangerously close to lobster hurricane, which I don't like. It's just
So I think the harder part is grading the movie because
The movie meter.
I don't know
shit.
whether to give it a 1, 2, or a 3. Because at some points I was like, oh, this is okay. The first third is fine for the most part.
Second, third, it's like,
I didn't like how they grabbed 3 scientists and then were like, we're going to do whatever you guys suggest. Why not ask like 1,000 people?
Yeah.
Right?
Not some random college professor.
Yeah.
They're wrong all the time.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna go with the 2.
Wow.
It's not worthless. Like this movie, Aaron Eckhart shouldn't be embarrassed for being in this movie, I think. But it's still dog turd. I don't really have much to say about it. Like there was nothing creative about the way it was shot. Most of it was shot in the capsule, right? And they could have done the Snowpiercer style where like the entire
Haven't seen
movie is on a train.
Train movie.
And they're moving from the back of the train to the front of the train. And it's staged and edited and shot very carefully so that the characters actually make progress in the correct direction. It all like makes sense as they're moving throughout the train. And this one, they threw the camera around. I didn't know. I mean, for once, the characters were. For one thing, the characters were not facing the ground ever, which is really upsetting to me because they were drilling through the ground. Whereas like in fucking rocket ships, they're facing up when they take off. Shouldn't it be like the same idea?
They would face the other way, right?
Like, why? Okay, anyways. So, yeah. So, I didn't hate this movie, but I really didn't like it. So I'm going to give it a 2.
That's harsh. That's harsh, Ryan.
It's a shitty movie.
Roger Ebert said this was one of his big guilty pleasures, like famously.
He gave it 2.5 out of 4 stars.
He said he fucking loved it. And he said he has to like restrain himself from recommending it. And yeah, like much like Roger Ebert, like I was enjoying a lot of aspects of this movie, especially like in the beginning. The setup I think was so fun, despite its ridiculousness. Like I was laughing so most of the time at the movie, but it was entertaining. Like every frame of this movie is clinically insane. The audacity is incredible. The movie is like an exercise in no restraint. Like they're fucking throwing quips. They're moving from one thing to another. Major character dies, and the next scene they're all high fiving and fist pumping, and it's just there's no like it's tonally all over the place. This is very much in the same vein as Armageddon that we watched, where it's just like rock and roll, fucking dudes fist bumping. We're just gonna do this science thing. Fuck you, scientists. This is how we do it. Type of movie. It does star Aaron Eckhart and Hilary Swank, who I generally like. I feel like they're like a negative universe version of Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner. Similar vibes, and I think equal in power, just in a different direction. I think their chemistry here was pretty fun. I kind of believed it, actually. The cast here, I think their interplay, like the crew are just talking to each other where they're arguing about what they're going to have for dinner or just small comments like that. It seemed like fun, and I think they had a good chemistry with each other. Especially Stanley Tucci. With that said, we already discussed the problems of this movie. It did drag a bit in like the third, part of the movie. There's tons of problems, but like if you're just like looking for a fun ass stupid movie to watch, like the core shit, it's such a time capsule too of the 2000s ridiculousness. I'm gonna give it a 4. It doesn't cross the midpoint to being an okay movie because it is bad. But like honorable mention here. I just. When shit like this, I dig, just like it's very much like Rain of Fire to me. Jace, what do you got for your movie? What do you think? What do you think about this?
I'll split the difference. I'm gonna go with a 3. I didn't enjoy Aaron Eckhart or Hilary Swank as leads in this movie. I don't really think that they had any kind of chemistry. I would agree at some points that some of the commentary and the jokes and the setup in the film was fun, and they did it a lot. But I think this movie was kind of riding off the coattails of Armageddon, and I think I recall that it's probably one of the first doomsday movies made after 9/11.
Yeah.
It was a big miss for me, where the middle of the movie was a bit of a slog, and I think there are movies that are around this time that blow its CGI out of the water. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure how you can spend $85 million on the budget of this movie and come up with
a glorified colonoscopy.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. But like, shout outs to Delroy Lindo, Stanley Tucci, and then shout out to Rat. It was pretty funny watching him. His lines, I thought some of them were pretty cringy, but like that, I need a box of Xena tapes and a Hot Pocket, and the guy's like, Hot Pockets? They help me concentrate.
Yeah, that was
like I ate a lot of Hot Pockets in this time frame. So
yeah. Native advertising, including the Nike, all the Nike in this movie.
I missed the Nike.
There was like multiple Nike bags and a bunch of Nike sweaters in this movie that are center of frame.
Oh,
for a very long time. And I was just like, and that Hot Pocket looked good, man. I wanted to buy some after I saw that movie.
The an honorable mention for a scene that I like is when Aaron Eckhart is at his university with some of his graduate students, and he sets them upon tasks to find out what the problem is and what's going on. And the throw-out line of the graduate student saying, "That's a huge search. Where do we got to start?" And he says, "You use our internet to download this and search up Sailor Moon crap.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. They're outlined, and then goes on to be like, if you can figure this out, I'll make you guys PhDs right away.
Yeah.
That kind of liveliness in the scenes and that kind of jovial nature is what brings it up for me. But a lot of it was just so much of a slog that I think this is gonna be one of the on the lower end of the movies we watch.
All right, fair enough. If I may, like, if I could recommend like a better version of this movie too, would be probably Sunshine.
Yes.
Where
Sunshine
it
is so
follows a
good.
similar pattern.
Well, sort
even
of.
down to
Sunshine is quasi horror.
it does, yeah, and it does take a different turn. But down to like crew members dying in a row, having to restart something with nukes. And it was released in 2007 with a lot better CGI just a couple years later, and just also a stacked cast.
The space station movies like Sunshine, Event Horizon, Alien, Pandorum, Passengers. Yeah, the Passengers, I mean. Like, that would be a dope season. Space stations.
So do you guys think that, do you think Armageddon was better than The Core?
That's what I was thinking when
Fuck
you guys
no.
were talking. It's
Fuck
like,
no. Fuck Armageddon.
there's some parts about Armageddon that, like they pulled off better. They made it, it was definitely more exciting. It was
It was
also
like 6 years earlier, though.
It was also
too, right?
about 3 hours longer. So they had a lot more to deal with. But there was the lows of Armageddon were lower than the lows of the core. And the core went to the core of the earth. And that's saying something.
Do you
It really.
Armageddon
Yeah.
was
Guys-
coming back out the other side again.
do you guys want to give Bruce Willis another chance?
No.
Because I think I know what movie I'm going to make you watch.
No. What? No? We're not watching. We're not rewatching.
It's
No.
your week, Jace.
We're not
You-
rewatching Armageddon, but I think we might blast off into space, bring our boy Bruce Willis out, and watch The Fifth Element.
What?
my
Is
God.
that
Wait,
why
is that
you were
okay.
searching for clarification on what the end of the world
okay.
meant for so long?
No, actually, The Fifth Element completely fits
Does it?
your definition
Okay.
of what is going on here. No, I was originally thinking like I wanted to pitch Mad Max 2 because I heard it's better than the first
good.
Mad Max.
The movie
Yeah,
rules.
it
Yeah, the
is.
fucking rules.
Um,
Fifth Element. I think I remember because there was like a world-ending apocalypse coming, right?
yeah,
Wasn't
the
that
world,
whole-
the Earth is going to be exploded if they do not gather some items and ward off a universe-ending entity.
Okay.
Fuck it, let's do it. This is another dip in the Willis category.
Has it been a while? Is it just Armageddon?
I think that's the last Bruce Willis movie I've seen. So,
Oh man, have you seen Unbreakable?
yeah, Unbreakable. Yeah, he's a pretty good run of movies too. You also have Mila Jovovich. I think her first movie appearance too. Before I pitched Resident Evil season. Sweet, I'm fucking down. Let's do it. We're looking at another planetary level world-ending event by an evil planet. I think. Been a couple years.
I think so.
Right? Some shit like that.
Yeah.
Fucking join us next week. This season, it's pretty fun so far, and I don't know how we're gonna solve the alien planet, but we thank you guys for joining us. I mean, do you guys have any other comments about the core or otherwise, or recommendations?
Do you guys think this is better than that crime drama starring Mark Wahlberg and Andre 3000? Four Brothers, because that's what
Never
I've been
seen
doing
Four
on my Letterboxd profile. Is I've
Yeah.
been ranking most of my movies based on whether or not they're better than Four Brothers.
Is Four Brothers a good movie, or is it a very like middle movie?
It's like the perfect example of like a pretty good TV movie.
Huh? I don't know. I have to see the Four Brothers.
You haven't
We
seen
have to
Four
do
Brothers?
Brothers season.
Okay, on your
We'll do
free
Brothers
time,
season.
watch Four Brothers and get on my theorem. My Four Brothers
Okay.
theorem is that there's three types of movies: movies that are better than Four Brothers, movies that are worse than Four Brothers, and the movie Four Brothers.
Okay, audience, let us know what you think about Four Brothers and this movie in relation to it. I did say in our Armageddon episode, which got a lot of flack, that Armageddon may have been responsible for flipping the election to Bush.
Yeah, this is why. This one's why John Kerry
Yeah.
lost.
I was wondering the same thing because it came out in 2003. But there's no like Florida anything about this movie, right?
Yeah.
It all takes place in LA. Mm-hmm. I don't think this flipped any votes. That's why I think Armageddon's the worst movie. I think it made the world worse.
I still agree with that. So
I think this is better than Armageddon. That's all I'll say.
I don't think the soundtrack was anywhere as good.
It didn't have
I
Aerosmith.
hate Aerosmith.
Fucking,
I fucking
sit,
hate Aerosmith.
them sitting in that field
Wanna fall asleep because I miss you, babe.
Yeah, them making out to her dad's music.
And I don't want my dad to die.
Jesus. Thanks for joining us, guys. Stay safe in your bunkers.